Yo, what's going on, guys? We've got the Perrin equal length header getting ready to go on our Subaru project car. We're going to show you a little bit of the install, and then we're going to put it on the dyno, see how much power it makes. We're going to show you everything, so let's go. Hello everybody, thanks for being here. I'm JP with EdgeAutosport.com. We have the Project Subaru behind me. It's our 2013 WRX sedan, not STI, in case you've never watched these. We told you a little bit ago that we were going to start working on this thing, so we're getting into the meat of it. We're going to start doing some cool stuff, including what we're doing today, which is an equal length header from Perrin. So this is the smaller runner, or the smaller, tubing diameter. We're never really going to get probably past 400 wheel horsepower with this thing. That would be like the maximum. And we probably won't even get there. That's just not the goal of the car. So we went with these smaller runners. We do not need the bigger runners. If anything, we want these smaller runners for that power level, because you want to keep some velocity up. You don't want it to be too big. This does not come the way that you see it. It's ceramic coated black. So we had that done after we pulled this out of the box. And this is exactly how it's going to go on the car. So we've got a Grimspeed up pipe RDR on the car, ceramic coated black as well, which comes that way from them. And we've got a Grimspeed catted down pipe. Right now we have the HKS racing muffler exhaust that we did on the last video. So this is going to be really a game changer for our project. As you know, as any Subaru guy knows, when you go equal length, totally changes the sound of the car. So this is definitely going to change the sound of our car. It's not going to be that same boxer rumble anymore, but that's okay. We are going to make some good power with this thing. So we're just going to get going on the install right now and put this thing on. We're going to put this on the dyno immediately after and see what kind of power it makes. So let's go. All right, so we got the stock manifold off here. This thing is actually quite a bit heavier than I pictured, and it should be. It's super, super strong and durable, but yeah, this thing is super heavy. We actually ended up weighing this thing versus the Perrin. This plus all the other heat shielding that I took off versus the Perrin, it's actually a 13.2 pound difference. So we're saving 13.2 pounds just by swapping out the manifold. So that's a cool benefit, but obviously we're after power with this one. So anyway, manifold's off and Perrin one's about to go on. All right, so Perrin header is on. We are pretty much done. So I'm not gonna put the under tray on quite yet. Just want to make sure there's no exhaust leaks and stuff like that. But O2 sensor is on, everything's tightened together. We're gonna lower this thing and fire it up and just give you a nice little cold start, see what it sounds like to start. Before we get it on the dyno, we just wanted to do some sound clips, give you guys a little taste of what switching to an equal length header is all about. I assume that all equal length headers do not sound the same, but they definitely do change this sound dramatically, just like this one does. It's a lot smoother. I mean, it sounds like a regular 4-cylinder. You're closer to a regular 4-cylinder. It still idles kind of nice, just the rumble, kind of deep. But yeah, just when you're just out and about driving, it's like, what happened to the car? It's it's actually quiet. Like, it kind of mellows it down. It doesn't sound so kind of fierce like the boxer rumble typically does. So super smooth, tones it down a tiny bit, but I don't hate it, that's for sure. I don't hate it, but it definitely sounds more like a regular 4-cylinder now. So we're gonna give it a full send through a couple gears here in just a second. but it sounds really good. All right, so the car's on the dyno. We're gonna leave it up to Alan to put it through its paces, see what kind of changes are made on the dyno, on the graph. And then, you know, it'll be up to Alan to see if we need to make any changes to the tune based on what he sees. But the car's pretty dialed in right now, so I'm assuming that we won't really have to make too many changes, but that'll be up to him. But let's see what kind of power and torque this thing makes. Okay, after the first run with the new header, with no tuning, we actually improved torque a decent amount. Horsepower stayed around the same. After looking at the graph though, it appears that there's a good chunk in the mid-range, in the spool up and mid-range area, where we picked up a good amount of horsepower and torque. But on the top end, it actually lost some a little bit. So it kind of transitioned from gaining to losing. The interesting thing is the car actually is not hitting as much boost as we saw like 2 days ago when we baselined the car in similar conditions, and it doesn't see as much boost as it normally does, you know, just in general. So Alan's kind of working on the tune. We're going to try to hit the same boost levels, but it's kind of encouraging that we're hitting a little bit less boost, but our torque has actually raised where that boost you know, is at its peak. So kind of some encouraging things, kind of some weird things, but we're working our way through the tune to see what we can change and manipulate, make sure it runs really nicely, and see what the curve looks like at the end of the day. So we'll keep going. All right, dyno is all done. It looks like we picked up a good chunk of power and torque right in the spool up area, or the peak torque area, when boost is really starting to hit and hits its peak. Lost a little bit of horsepower at the very, very top end. You know, take your pick of where you want your power. If it's a street car, I would still like this setup a lot more. If it's a pure race car, drag car, you know, maybe this isn't exactly the right header because, you know, you're going to be living at that high RPM range. So not quite sure why it dropped off that much, but it definitely picked up in the mid-range. So here are the results for the header, and it's good to see what this thing is going to be, what this thing does to the car. It's 9 pound-feet of torque picked up from peak to peak on the torque, and then only 1 horsepower lost on the peak on the horsepower curve. So there you have it. Make sure you like the video. If you have any comments or questions, put them below. We'll make sure to answer those, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.